This video will show you how to replace the rear brakes, pads, and rotors on a Mitsubishi Lancer. This will be located behind your rear wheels. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. The first thing we have to do is safely raise and support the rear of the vehicle so the wheel's off the ground. Once you've completed that, you're going to remove all 5 of your 21mm lug nuts so we can get the wheel off of here. Now that we have the wheel off, we have a clear view of our rear brakes. We're going to start at our rear caliper. The rear caliper has a piston that needs to be pushed in. For this, I'm going to be using a small pry bar. I'll make my way directly through the port on the caliper, prying up against the rotor, pulling it outward, pressing in on that caliper piston. Now that we have movement from that, we're going to move along to our 2 caliper mounting bolts. Now, as for this caliper slider mounting hardware, we're going to be using a 14mm. We're removing the lower caliper slider pin first. Once we have that out of place, we should be able to tip this and then slide it out of position, removing this slider pin from the bracket, but leaving it intact in the caliper itself. Now that I have that slider pin out of there, I'm going to clean this up and give it a thorough inspection. We're not using any type of detergent. As you look at the very tip of the slider pin, you can see that it does have a vibration dampener. Make sure that's still in good usable order. We'll set this aside. Continuing on, let's take hold of the caliper. We're pivoting it and then sliding it away. Just a gentle flex here. Now that we have that out of position, let's just have a quick peek at our inside caliper piston here. We're going to remove the outer brake pad next. This is going to be fairly simple overall. It has 2 locking tabs along the outboard side. If you were to take hold of the brake pad, squeeze it inboard, and then you should be able to pull this out of place. You don't really have to do too much with those locking tabs. Looking at the brake pad itself, where those locking tabs are, you can see that they have 2 tabs that protrude up. There's one on either side. Those tabs go into the ears of the caliper. That's how it seats in the proper positioning. Now, after a close inspection of this caliper, we're going to set it aside, putting no pressure on our flex hose, and continue on. Time for the inner pad. Go ahead and take hold of that. We'll slide it out of place. You can use a small prying device if necessary. A quick inspection of that pad. Now we can see the caliper bracket. A quick note about this caliper bracket is you do not need to fully remove the bracket from the vehicle. Just go ahead and remove the 2 caliper slider pin mounting boots. For those, just go ahead and take hold of them, gently pry them out of place. We're going to clean these, but for now, let's just go ahead and set them aside and remove that brake rotor. Now, as far as this brake rotor is concerned, looking at it, we want to start by removing our rubber plug. I'm just going to use a small angled pick. You can use a screwdriver if necessary. Just go ahead and remove it. We will be reusing this in the brand new brake rotor during the installation process. For now, let's just go ahead and pull this out of place. Once you have it out, just a quick inspection. Set that aside. Now let's take one of our original lug nuts. We're going to start it onto one of our lug studs, just a few threads. Continuing on, we should be able to remove this brake rotor. Now, if it's stuck in place, you're going to tap on it with a hammer. If you're using a hammer, you just want to be careful not to cause any damage to any of your lug studs. There it is, friend. Now it's time to clean and inspect this area. We're going to confirm that our parking brake shoes and hardware are in good usable condition. We'll remove any debris from the area, but we also want to make sure that we clean our wheel bearing hub mating surface. To clean the hub mating surface, you can use a sanding disc or a wire brush. Now we have the hub mating surface perfectly cleaned. We're continuing on to the caliper bracket next. As far as the caliper bracket's concerned, you're going to find that you have 2 tins that need to be removed. We'll clean and lubricate and then add brand new tins to these areas. We're paying special attention to the areas that had those tins. That's where your brake pad will sit. A little bit of high temperature lubricant along each of those areas on the caliper bracket where our brand new tins are going to sit. Now we have our brand new tins. We'll make sure we have these in the proper positioning. They should fit right into place. Line them up, press them on. As you press them on, just make sure they do feel as though they're secured in place. We'll continue on to the next one, same process. Now at this point, we need to clean each of our 2 caliper slider pin ports. Those are going to be from the back side here, and we're going to be using a bore brush. Repeat the process for the next one. Now let's pause on that bracket and we're back at our wheel bearing hub mating surface. We'll be using some anti-seize along this surface, and then we can continue on with our brand new brake rotor. Just a thin amount should do here. Work that around. Now it's time for installation of that brand new rear brake rotor. The first thing you need to do is make sure you clean both sides of your braking surface. We have the outboard side and the inboard side. As far as the inboard side, not only do we have this area for the brake pads, but we also have the area for the parking brake shoes. Make sure you clean any protective oils off of this brake rotor prior to installation. Slide that on there. Now we're going to make sure we hold our brake rotor so it does not fall off. Just using one of our original lug nuts. Now the next thing we have to do is make an adjustment to our parking brake shoes, which are located behind this area. We're going to turn the brake rotor to a position that we can gain access to our adjuster. Using a flat blade screwdriver, you're going to find the adjuster and turn it in one direction or the other, adjusting the shoes out towards the inside of the brake rotor. Now once those shoes are hitting up against and you can barely turn this, you're going to have to back that off just a couple turns. We want to be able to turn this freely without any resistance, but the shoes should be just close enough that when you do put on the parking brake, it's going to hold the brake rotor for you and it will not turn. I'm just going to turn this so I can get my adjuster. There we are. We don't have too much resistance. We'll continue on with our rubber protective plug. As far as the caliper bracket, we're going to be taking some high temperature caliper lubricant and lubricating inside of each one of the 2 caliper slider ports. Just a tiny bit should do. We're also lubricating along the outer edge where our caliper slider boots will sit. Now it's time to clean and inspect our caliper slider pin boots. We're going to take a clean rag, slide it through the slider pin boot. Continuing on, you just want to roll that slider pin boot around on the rag there. We're trying to remove any miscellaneous grease or debris from inside of the boot. After that, a close inspection inside and out, confirming it's not worn, torn, or damaged in any way. Repeat the process for the other one and we'll continue on. As for installing these boots, let's make sure we have them in the proper orientation. You can see this larger area fits onto the bracket itself. We'll press it on. Give it a slight wiggle, working in that lubricant and making sure it's secured as we continue on to the next one. Same process, just go ahead and line it up, press it on. Now it's time to clean and inspect our caliper slider pins. As you remember during the removal process, our lower mounting pin had the rubber vibration dampener. We want to make sure it's not swollen or ready to fall off of there in any way. As you can tell, this one's still in good usable order. We have it cleaned. We're going to apply some lubricant along the smooth shafted area. We'll continue on doing the exact same thing to the one that's still attached to that caliper. While we're still at this caliper bracket, let's install our inboard pad. You'll notice on the inboard pad, we have our wear indicator installed in the upper position. So while we're driving down the road, the rotor's going to be spinning in this direction. If something happened to this wear indicator, it's going to make its way off and not in towards the brakes. If we had it on the wrong side, that could potentially happen. There we are. We'll just make sure that can move around. You should not need to use a hammer to drive this into position. Let's continue on with focusing on our caliper next. Looking at the caliper, let's start by lubricating our caliper slider pin. Obviously, we've already cleaned it, and now it's well lubricated. We're also going to apply lubricant to that caliper piston and along the back side of each of these two ears. Now this is going to help with vibration dampening and noise reduction overall. Let's continue on with the outboard pad. That's going to slide right over the ears of the caliper. You can see our locking tabs. Line it up. As you start pressing, you're going to take the pad, press it inboard so you can get those alignment tabs into their proper positioning along the back side of the ears. Listen for an audible click and then make sure that the pad is properly secured to the caliper. It should not fall off or move around. Let's take this caliper and start bringing it over towards being in position here. We have our upper slider pin. Gently flex this and get it in position. That should slide around. Now we're bringing this down, sliding our outer pad over that brake rotor, and aligning our slider pin port along this area. We've already cleaned and lubricated this slider pin. Now the next thing we're going to do is snug this up, and then I'm going to torque this to 40 foot-pounds. Let's get this lug nut off of here. Let's get ready to install the rear wheel. We'll get the wheel in place. Start on all 5 of our 21mm lug nuts. Bottom them out. Get the wheel safely on the ground, and the torque for each of these will be 80 foot-pounds. Now that I've got the wheel back on the ground, I'm going to be torquing each one of my lug nuts in a crisscross manner to that 80 foot-pounds. Torqued. Okay, friend, we finished our installation. Now the next thing you need to do is make your way into the passenger compartment and pump up your brake pedal till it's nice and firm. After you've completed that, take your vehicle for a road test, listen for any odd noises, and make sure you test the functionality. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.